historically, I'm going to start a furniture company. I'd had a furniture retailing kind of showroom company years before, but I thought, you know what? I'm going to actually manufacture, and I'm going to try to do 4 really hard things. I'm going to make furniture in America with amazing, beautiful design that's going to be as sustainable, eco-friendly as possible at affordable, accessible prices. Like in America, affordable prices, great design, like 4-part, right? Like the design brief was like impossible. I was like, that is a cool ambition to go after.
Hello there, and welcome to Skyman and a Bug. I'm the Bug, and that is
the Skyman.
We are here to build relationships, technology, and work on the many wonders of being a business owner and a nutcase. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to you listening to us, laughing with us, and taking the journey with us as we build businesses and relationships. Well, hey there again. This is Nikkei Roach from Skyman and a Bug podcast, and welcome to another life-changing, earth-shattering. I'm just kidding. It might be a complete waste of your life and your time, but that's okay.
We like it, though.
We like it, though. But, of course, I am the Bug of the Skyman and the Bug, and my cohort, slightly criminal element, is Josh the...
Again with the criminal element? What the hell?
I know. Josh the Skyman Schuminsky, who hails from I would say the great state of New York, but I am from the city, so I'm going to leave him up in Long Island. I'm going to stay down in the city and keep it moving. And now we have another New Yorker who is also sort of a hippie of things. I'm going to go with that one. Josh Dorfman has traveled all over. He has been in the tech space, both East Coast, West Coast, coming over to what we call the hippie town of North Carolina, which is Asheville, to spin up and help build out technology and stuff. That he is the co-founder of Planet, as well as Super Cool, and he's going to tell you a little bit more about it. It is a cross-section of benefits over beliefs, and really understanding how companies who are succeeding really are building out those benefits and not just beliefs. So Josh Dorfman, welcome to the program, man.
Well, thank you guys. Yeah, it's fun to be here.
Well, glad to have you. You're a podcast host too, so never mind that. I was going to get into that later, but okay.
You know, I would just say, since you assigned me, I don't know if you'd label me, but just kind of that hippie sort of label. When I was in Asheville, I don't know if I told you this, Nikkei, but when I was in Asheville, the first job I had was helping to build Asheville's startup community. And Asheville is kind of like, right, hipster / hippie, whatever. And it was a great run. I was working for the Economic Development Coalition for Asheville and Buncombe County, the Chamber of Commerce that basically funded, a lot of that. So I was very involved in economic development. And I think around I can't remember, it must have been 2017, it was probably around 2017, 2016. Owen Wilson was in town. Kirsten Dunst was in town. Zach Galifianakis. They filmed the movie Masterminds in Asheville. Yeah. And it was cool. You'd see them around town. It was awesome. Actually, a friend of mine was having a bachelor party, and I convinced him to come do it in Asheville. And we're in this little restaurant, and there's like Owen Wilson. He's like, "What is going on, man?" I'm like, "Oh, dude, this happens all the time, of course." But anyway, Kirsten Dunst was going on. She was either going on like Jimmy Fallon. She's going on some late night show. And so the economic development team put together a press release they were going to send out to all of their companies they were trying to recruit to come move to Asheville. Hey, we're on the map. Check out Kirsten Dunst. She spent the summer in Asheville. She's going to talk about it. So she goes on the show, and Fallon's like, "So you filming a movie, right?" She's like, "Oh yeah, it's going to be great. And you were in Asheville." "Oh yeah." She's like, "What's Asheville like?" "Oh, well, I was in like a flotation tank with like pitch black and like water." And he's like, "Huh?" And she's like, "Yeah. And then I was in like this like salt cave, I guess, because like, and you could just see like, oh, this is just not going well. So then basically he's like, "Huh?" And she's like, "Yeah, Asheville's basically where like hippies go to die." And so I do like,
that's killing you, man. That's killing you. Like, no,
and I knew exactly my boss, and everyone's gonna be like, "Cancel the press release." Do not send anything to anybody. Yeah, hippies go to die.
Hippies, no. And the reason why I call Asheville that, because I've been in North Carolina for long enough to, when I was in high school, it was the town, but it's not like that now. It's way more. It's a cross between tech, eclectic development, and as the town of Asheville increases inside, like it may end up becoming like a megalopolis or something like that, because it just seems to be there are more little parts of things that are moving, and getting bigger and bigger, like every place like that. What was that like to be and to be part of that economic engine to really remake Asheville away from the place where hippies go to die?
Well, it was fantastic. I mean, I moved to Asheville. My folks had retired there from New York. It was like halfway between, like New York and Florida, and my dad's parents had retired to Florida. So this was like, okay, well, we want to go south, but we can't go all the way to Florida. We have to kind of do our own thing. And they somehow found Asheville. They loved it. And so we went down when my kids were little. My wife is from Nashville. And so we're like, well, okay, good geography, right? And we knew it was cool, and we knew it was kind of on the make. I didn't have a plan to work in economic development, but certainly being part of that energy, that vibe as that city is transitioning. A lot of that was underway before I got there, and it was exciting to work with the team that had been successful and already bringing like New Belgium Brewery there, which was a big transformational pull to get them to put their headquarters right, like in the River Arts District. So, it's a wonderful place. I got to meet so many people because I was working in that part of the kind of culture and business community. It was a great way to land there. I loved it. I think that, there were some things that you could see the dynamic at play I'll give you one example. Asheville, as I'm sure you know, but I won't assume, has like an awesome craft beer
It does.
economy, culture, right? We mentioned New Belgium, Sierra Nevada, lots of smaller brands. And then one that grew really, really fast and was ultimately acquired by, I want to say Anheuser-Busch, Wicked Weed. Wicked Weed is now everywhere as well. And that was so interesting because Wicked Weed really came from this small craft brewery community in some ways. They had good funding. But the younger guys who were the brewmasters were really integrated into this craft brewery community. And when they exited and had this like really wonderful, successful exit and sold the company to Anheuser-Busch, they were like excommunicated from
Wow.
the community. Right. And so there was always this kind of dynamic of, we're local, we're independent, we really love business, small business, but we're really not like comfortable with, what other communities would celebrate. Like, oh, massive exit. The entrepreneurs built this thing and then they got to sell it. And like, let's celebrate. Like, that's what it's all about. And like in Asheville, it's like, hold on there a second, cowboy. Like, that's not actually what it's all about. So it's what's cool about that is it's like, that's why you want to go live there, right? Because you want all these independent kind of craft local businesses. But it's tricky to really build a huge, fast growing economy when that like exit is kind of frowned upon by your peers and not celebrated like it might be, in like Charlotte or Raleigh Durham or other big, tech hubs, startup hubs around the country.
Yeah, I get that, and I never even thought about that dynamics because here in Winston-Salem, where our corporate headquarters, or when Jim Roberts, who's over in the Wilmington side of the state, that's kind of the big thing. Oh my God, we got acquired by some large, and the founders got an obscene amount of money real quick, and I find it unique because it's sort of like that's a good thing because logic would dictate I'm going to go start something else. I mean, you're going to go back and say, if you are a craft brewer and you're like, well, we just got acquired. Okay, let's go do something else. It's going to be, I got enough money so that I don't have to go begging all the time like I used to, but now I want to get into something a little bit more, into my teeth. So that's a good transition into, where you came in and how we interacted with Planet and then into Super Cool. Talk me through that evolution because it sounds similar, but maybe you got a big check and you just kind of said, hey, I'm moving to the Beverly Hills, but I don't know. Tell us through that one.
So at the tail end of working in this role in Asheville, so it was called Venture Asheville. That was the startup organization I was building kind of underneath this overall economic development chamber of commerce brand. We built Venture Asheville, still very active today. I was getting antsy. I mean, it was a really fun way to move to Asheville. Like I said, get connected, helps other startups succeed, build an angel investor group, like partner with MIT on a really cool mentor program for startups, built some really cool infrastructure to help startups on their journey. But I was getting antsy. I had the entrepreneurial bug again. And realized that here I am living in North Carolina, the furniture capital of certainly America, in some respects has been the world, right? Historically, I'm going to start a furniture company. I'd had a furniture retailing kind of showroom company years before, but I thought, you know what? I'm going to actually manufacture, and I'm going to try to do 4 really hard things. I'm going to make furniture in America with amazing, beautiful design that's going to be as sustainable, eco-friendly as possible at affordable, accessible prices, right? Like in America, affordable prices, great
That fourth
design.
part
Like
was hard.
4-part, right? Like the design brief was like impossible. I was like, that is a cool ambition to go after. And we actually did it. We set up a factory in Hendersonville, just about 20 minutes down the road from Asheville. I got a designer who had represented a decade before to agree to come in and work with me. I thought his designs were timeless. They've been in museums. Let's like build this really cool line. It's kind of IKEA style, sort of like you ship it flat, right? And we were shipping direct to customers, no wholesale. So we eliminated a lot of the markup that makes furniture expensive. So we kind of got it. And then COVID hit and the factory was shut down. We couldn't make new product. And when I was using this plywood that was responsibly harvested, FSC certified, had all the labels attached to it, but I couldn't get it. And when I could, the quality was really bad. The price was going up. And I just started thinking, man, like, how is it in the 21st century that the best, highest quality, so to speak, sustainable material still comes from a tree? That just really like bugged me. I thought like there has to, like, why are we cutting down trees? Can we figure out something else? And I didn't have an answer. But in that moment, 2021, I'm introduced to this guy down in Durham who someone said, hey, you ought to talk to this guy down there. He's got a little manufacturing company too. We get on the phone, and I don't know this guy from Adam. His name is Wada. He says, he's saying, wow, you're building this awesome furniture company. We're like, no, man, forget it. Like, I'm not into it. He's like, why? I'm like, material, dude. Like, this material thing's really bugging me. He's like, what would you use? I'm like, I don't know, maybe hemp. There's got to be something out there. And he's like, oh, I got 6 giant trash bags of industrial hemp in my garage. And I was like, wait, time out.
The confusing part about it is I have 6 industrial bags of hemp. In
Right.
the wrong generation, that would go in a wild direction. But as someone who's worked with hemp manufacturers, that's a good thing. Okay.
That's a good thing, right? But yeah, I mean, or if we were in Jamaica or something, right? You'd be like, totally. Yeah. All right, we'll leave that aside. So I said, well, who are you? What do you mean? And he said, well, I just moved here. I spent 8 years at SpaceX in Los Angeles. I was in charge of keeping astronauts alive on the Dragon spacecraft. I oversaw the life support systems. And really what that meant was balancing how much carbon is in a little tiny cockpit, right? As you're going around the Earth, you're trying to regulate carbon. And so he was already thinking, because Elon Musk was already thinking about how could you remove carbon from the atmosphere to help solve climate change, right? Like the problem is, it's not that carbon is bad. It's just that carbon is in the wrong place. It's in the atmosphere where it causes, global warming. But it's also like one of the sources of life. So could we remove it, right, and use it? That basically became planted. And we thought, well, maybe if we grow hemp, maybe that will grow much faster than trees. And if the fiber is strong, then we don't have to cut down trees. We could take hemp and replace where trees go, which is timber for lumber for home building. Maybe we could do that. That's what planted is. We don't actually, we tested hemp. We walked hemp fields. I met with North Carolina hemp farmers, had some amazing barbecue all across the state trying to figure that out. But ultimately we were like, you know what? There's actually a perennial grass. You can think of like how fast bamboo goes. It's also in the grass family. We identified one that was growing locally in North Carolina that grows 10 times faster than trees, has an incredible structure. And we put a SpaceX-led team together in Oxford, North Carolina, like 30 minutes north of Durham. And we miniaturized a mill, took the smokestack off. It's all electric. So we pull carbon from the atmosphere of this grass. We run it through our mini mill to turn it into 4x8 foot engineered sheets that you nail to the 2x4s when you build a house, and that's planted.
So to that question, I mean, so I'm a builder, and I'm looking to source products, and we're going to get into super cool in a little bit. But I want to kind of go through the evolution of where you went from planted, and which I understand you're still associated with a planted, but now you're in super cool. But I'm a builder, and I'm looking at options for building a house. am I going to find the product at my Home Depot, or is it a specialty facility that actually sells those 4x8s?
Yeah, right now, our primary path to market, and as a builder, I think you'll appreciate this, it's really hard to convince builders to try new material,
Of
right?
course they are.
I mean, you're
Oh,
laughing, right?
oh God, are
Yeah,
you kidding me?
yeah.
I've been building with these kind of boards in 19 whatever.
Exactly right, and especially if it's structural, right? So now there's other issues of potential liability are on the line. How's this going to perform over multiple years? So our current path to market, we've done a lot of testing with this company. We're very fortunate is with D.R. Horton, the largest home
Yeah.
builder in the country.
Josh, do
So
you know?
we have.
Hold on, Josh. Other Josh, do you know D.R. Horton?
I'm building a home in the community right now.
Oh, is that right? Are you really?
Yeah.
We've gotten to know them exceptionally well at many different levels of their company. I've actually spent time on DR Horton's ranch in West Texas, ostensibly hunting, which was really me more just like in a blind by myself at 5 a.m, trying not to shoot myself or do anything stupid. But we've gotten to know them exceptionally well. So we have a standing order from DR Horton today for 10 million of these panels that we're working on. And so what I would say is we are coming to market through DR Horton and their communities. And we will gradually start to introduce the product into more channels over time so that at some point, yes, builders likely will be able to show up at a you name it, Home Depot, Lowe's, wherever, and hopefully have access
Or
to the
any
material,
building supply store. I mean, because
or any
obviously,
building supply store.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Home Depot may not be. They may have another, not a storefront builder supply or something like that.
Home Depot is tricky because you have to be at national, you have to be able to fulfill their entire national system to be able to even get any shelf space. So it's definitely tricky for younger companies, right, to break into that kind of system and supply chain. You really have to have a level of scale that, and we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, but you do have the largest builder in North America kind of leading the charge. So having them as a partner, I think it just from a strategic standpoint just makes a lot of sense.
It's been awesome. And I mean, it's been, they have actually been in the fields with us. They have seen how we harvest. We've really gone through for now, about 3.5, 4 years of gaining, them gaining confidence with us, going through multiple proof points. We did a house together in Durham, 2 or 3 years ago, after we got the product certified, right? So we went through all the testing. We did a roof together. We've done all these applications to really build that confidence level and trust. And yeah, of course, I mean, we're so fortunate to be able for Planted to be able to have that relationship.
For sure. So Planted before Josh.
Oh,
I was going to switch
before you
into
switch,
huh?
before you switch.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
So we have a local small business who's in the hemp industry, um, uh, Renaissance Fiber with Daniel Johannes. So we're familiar with um, the using the technology to do something else besides like wool-based products. So
Yeah,
just want to
totally.
give us.
Renaissance Fiber, I'll have to look them up.
Mhm.
Yeah. I know, Nikkei, you were gonna mention super cool, and I was gonna say that I've had a conversation with a company called Hempitecture, which is using hemp. It's a company based in Idaho where they manufacture, and they use hemp primarily for home insulation, and have built some really, really awesome products. Have really good traction as well.
I think that would be, that's worth further exploration because as we look at um, our population is getting astronomically. You can go to any city. You can be in heck. You go to Raleigh, Durham, and I mean the beltways here in Winston Salem. The beltways are being built, and things are taken down and things are taken back up. But sometimes present administration included, you're not thinking long term. You're not thinking 50 years down the road. Is this sustainable? Can we keep ourselves as a species healthy, or are we going to continue to do raw timber cutting? Which it is the chief engine for a lot of the backbone. I mean, it's kind of funny, the backbone of the building industry, but can we build something a little bit more sustainable that will 50 years down the road we won't be sweltering, or our grandkids sweltering and trying to figure out, oh, we had the dumbest grandparents from ever because they didn't think about what happens in the future. Just thinking out loud. Okay.
Yeah, no, I think that's a fair point. I mean, honestly, I remember, um, when I started Super Cool, one of the things that I've thought about over the past few years, years ago I had this TV show called The Lazy Environmentalist, which was me. I would travel around the country. It was this Sundance Channel reality TV show. I travel around America trying to help lazy Americans go green, and wrote a couple of books. It was a Sirius XM radio show, and I was really into it. And I got invited to give a talk. Josh, in your neck of the woods at the Hamptons Book Festival, all the way out of the tip of the Hamptons, and
Now I want lobster.
So there was an opening night party in Montauk, and it was very like bougie, very shishi, and they sent a car for me. And I thought, oh yeah, I finally arrived. I've finally arrived. That's what I've been working for years. And I get to this party, and the music's thumping, and then my name's at the door. And one of the organizers, she checks me off the list, and she's just, kind of chatting with me, and she waves over another organizer, and she's like, "Would you take Josh in and introduce him around?" And this woman's like, "Of course, come on, darling," right? And she like takes my arm, and we're going to walk into this awesome party. And I see she turns around, and I see her like mouth like over the music, like, "Who is he?" Right? And like the one, and the organizer mouths back, like, "He's the lazy environmentalist," right? She's like, "Okay, thumbs up." And she's like, and I'm like, "Okay, come on, darling." So we go in and we approach this group of like, of course, beautiful people, industry people, whatever. And she like cuts in, and she's like, "Hey, everyone, I want to introduce Josh." And so we get their attention. They all got to turn momentarily toward me and her. And she's like, "He's the last environmentalist." I'm like, I'm like, wait, like what? What are you talking about? Wait, no. And I'm like, no, I'm the lazy. And they're just like, yeah, whatever, like we're done with this guy. So yeah, it didn't fully land. And a couple of years after that, when Obama was president, one of the things that he said about the environment was, he said, we are the first generation with all the data to know what's happening, right? Like to this kind of point, Nikkei, like we know what's happening around, like we're the first generation to really have the full picture. Right? And we're the last generation with a chance to do something about it. And so those two things kind of stuck in my head, of this notion of like, we're like the last environmentalists. Maybe we are the last environmentalists, but maybe being the last environmentalists, you can spin it and say, well, maybe if we actually succeed, right, in like thinking about the future and becoming just more sustainable and making that normal, making that the default, the status quo, then we are the last environmentalists, because we never have to think about that term again. It's just like, this is what we do. And I think that's how we think about Planted. It's not like we're out there like, we're here to save the world. I mean, we started the company because that motivates us, but we're really out there saying like, we're here to give you a moisture resistant board that's way better than this crappy timber thing you work with right now, so I think that, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to comment because I remember reading a book. It was actually differentiating yourself in the environment, and why it was a challenge for folks who were speaking of environmental. Why it was so challenging for them to get ahead of things, because it was hard to plant your flag on environmental concerns when actually the customers really, that's not the thing that triggers them. The thing that triggers them is like, hey, we have a great moisturizer, or we have a board that, yes, it's environmentally sourced, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, like you said earlier, it is in my price point, and it does all the jobs, if not better than the competitor. But that's not normally what drives me. And I was laughing to myself when you were talking about he's the last environmentalist. It's like, no, you don't want that guy. Okay,
Yeah,
you
right.
don't want that guy. So tell me about Super Cool. What does Super Cool do? I mean, we've referenced Super Cool a couple times. We know what Planet does, but you've segued into Super Cool, which is super cool. Tell me about it.
The idea behind Super Cool is that there are, as I've described, Planted, there are hundreds of companies, similar to Planted in that they are, in certain respects, they are removing carbon or lowering our carbon impact. And they are helping their customers, who are often other businesses, at the same time make money, save money, and improve the customer experience, their own customers' experience. And so what I started seeing is there's like a hidden story here. When we think about climate change, most of us just think, lost cause, or like, you want me to do something. So, oh, what, you want me to sacrifice? You want me to like give something up? We've got like,
Yeah.
I'm not interested. Or just like, we tune it out because the story hasn't changed. And what I am very excited about is there are, like I said, now hundreds, if not thousands of companies that are actually succeeding, really building big businesses, changing markets by delivering better products that also cut carbon and improve modern life. And it's kind of across industries. And so at the same time, in 2024, when we started this company, this was the first year ever that globally investment in clean energy, so that's solar, that's electric vehicles, that's wind, that's geothermal, all these kinds of things that we know of, surpassed $2 trillion in investment. Fossil fuels has never even come close to that. In 2025, the world invested 2.3 trillion in all of these clean energy technologies. It doubled what's going into fossil fuels. In 2025, AI spending globally was 1.5 trillion. That's a lot of money. But clean energy was 2.3 trillion. So the biggest driver of the global economy right now is clean energy. And this is a story that we don't we should know that, because this is what's actually this is what's behind the economy today. Super Cool talks about the companies that are driving that transformation, the really amazing businesses that they're building, and how they're actually making life better in the process. Because my view is we're going to solve climate change, not because so we don't die. We're going to solve climate change because it's really like a byproduct of actually building a future that's just way more interesting and way more fun and way more prosperous and has a higher quality of life than just maintaining the status quo. Super Cool is there to tell the stories of the companies making that happen.
So let's get a little granular what that looks like. And if you can, I mean, okay. Give me
let me give you an example.
Yeah, give me an example of some super cool companies.
I'll give you an example. Today in America, the largest commercial fleet of anything on the, that in our transportation economy today it's not planes, it's not trains, it's not Amazon, it's not FedEx, it's school buses. It's school buses.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
500,000 on the road, right? Monday through Friday.
Wow.
You could put together trains, airplanes, everything, and it doesn't even touch how big, the school bus fleet is that's on the road. Now, there's some
swing and a miss on that one. I would have never thought about school bus until you see them everywhere.
And there is really one principal problem with school buses today. And the major problem with school buses today is that kids on school buses today are having the exact same experience as their great grandparents. School bus hasn't changed, which also means if you're the transportation director of the Winston-Salem school district, school system, right? Or Richmond, Virginia, or Dallas, or LA, or San Francisco, or whatever, when those buses leave your depot in the morning, you don't know where they are. Nobody has any idea how's that possible? We know where everything is. You can put a chip in your pet. We don't know where we don't know where the school bus is. And not only do we not know where the school bus is, it's always late. And so because this is a localized issue in Buffalo or wherever else, we don't realize we have this chronic issue where kids are actually doing the right thing, getting on the school bus and still showing up late to school, stressed out. That is literally unacceptable. Or coming home, parents have no idea when they have to take off from work. They don't know schedules, it's a mess. So Zoom, ZUM, not the video, chat, but ZUM, a company got started that said, we're going to address this. And so what do? They put some AI like connected to the bus, or really what they do is they say, look, we're going to optimize these school bus routes. We're going to get the kids to school on time. We're going to figure out like, how do you get, how do we really, really streamline this? Well, we'll use some AI. We'll figure out the right routes. We'll use some technology. If Timmy's not going to school, open the app, let the bus driver know. Bus automatically reroutes. It's not sitting there for 3 minutes, just idling diesel fuel. So of course they're like cutting down on emissions because they're cutting down on diesel. But more importantly, they're driving up the on-time arrival of school buses for children. And what that then unlocks, now they're in 4,000 schools. I mean, they're in almost every major district in like 5 years, because this is like the change we need. What they did for the city of Oakland in California was they said, look, we just optimized your entire system. You have 136 diesel school buses. You only need to run 74 because we just made your system actually work. And now that we cut it basically in half, now we can afford to work with you and electrify all of those school buses. No more diesel school buses, no more fumes in neighborhoods. We're going to electrify everything, and we're going to give you 74 school buses. And one of the ways we're going to be able to make this work is that these things have such huge batteries that when they're charged up and not running, we're going to sell that energy from these huge batteries back to the grid. So we're actually going to make some money here, right? Because we're going to become an energy source to the power grid, and we're going to make this really affordable for you. So now everybody wins. Everybody knows where the bus is. Kids get to school on time. The air is cleaner in neighborhoods, right? Everybody's less stressed out, and it just works for everybody. That's what's being built today.
I was thinking about it in the efficiency area that we sometimes play in. One of the things that I was looking at and listening to is one of the biggest problems that school systems have is personnel. So think about that for a minute there. You just went from 100 and something odd personnel required to keep those buses moving down to half that. So those personnel can be tasked in another part of the school. And if you know anything about school districts, they're always understaffed. I mean, think about it. I don't care where you come from. There are less teachers, there's less assistants, there's less all these other stuff. But if you can take now 75 of those staff members who would be otherwise driving these school buses, killing us slowly, we can now repurpose it. And so that's an HR story as well as an environmental story, because it now have people who can move into other sectors that may, because of shortages, can move into a whole different section of that school and make things awesome.
Yeah, totally. It's a resource efficiency. And we see a lot of that. I mean, it's like, I think we're living in this moment where we've always known that we should be thinking about energy efficiency, and it's like, really, like, what do I need to get out of a caulk gun, and like, is that really going to do anything? But like, we're getting so much more efficient. It frees up humans to do other stuff. I think energy efficiency in general is becoming far more sexy. And there's actually a company I've talked to, which has done some work, Josh, out in your neck of the woods, out on Long Island. There's a company called Butterfly, BUDDERFLY. So I guess there's a theme here where you have like,
I think it's a theme that
Zoom,
never
butterfly.
used a dictionary or something like that. Okay?
Planted, no E. Yeah, exactly. It's all very hipster. But Butterfly does something that I just absolutely love it. And when you meet the CEO, this guy Al Sablui, who's been on I don't even know if I met it, but super cool podcast, newsletter. So we're doing it. So I had Al Sablui, CEO, on my show. And this guy, when you see Sablui, he looks like he could be he looks like he could be, there was like the third Corleone brother. Like he looks like he's kind of like, he's got that Godfather thing going, because fourth, right. Fredo, right. There's Michael, Fredo, right. And
Sonny.
Other one, Tom. Sonny. Thank you, Sonny. Yeah, there you go. Thank you. All right, good guy. Yeah. Tom, but Tom wasn't a blood brother, right? Tom wasn't.
No, he wasn't. But the other ones were Fredo, and the rest.
Yeah, right. Sonny and Michael. Yeah. So Bluey, Al looks like he could be the fourth blood brother. So Al comes on the show. He's like, this is what we do, and he's like, we just did this in Long Island for, I think it was like half a dozen Sonic fast food franchises. He's like, we go into the owners of these fast food franchises, and we say, we're going to make you an offer that you can't refuse. Right. And I'm like, okay,
wow.
well, yeah, right. I'm like, yeah.
Hold on. For one, you're in Long Island, which is already dangerous. Yeah. For two, the guy looks like he's a mafia anyway. So I don't know if that'll go well.
Yeah. This is what we're going to do. We're going to make you an offer. So the offer is, if you think about a Sonic or a KFC, whatever, you think about a fast food restaurant in that relatively small kind of built environment footprint. There's so much energy being used, right? Because you have all the cooking equipment, you have the refrigeration, you have the lighting, and so what he says is, I am going to upgrade, modernize everything in this restaurant. I'm going to bring you brand new equipment, right? You're going to get it for free. Butterfly, I'm going to get all the savings from the energy, the delta between what you're spending right now and what we're going to save you, right? And Al is really good at financing. So he's raised about $1 billion for this business. So he knows that he can underwrite the cost of bringing in all that new equipment at a low enough interest rate where he's going to make money on the spread. And so what he's done is he's actually gone into, now is probably last I talked to him, or I think 2025, they were in over 8,000 fast food restaurants, right? Where everyone's upgraded. And these Sonics on Long Island are now like cutting edge sustainability restaurants because they have the most efficient equipment you could possibly have, which creates obviously a more delightful experience for workers, for people in the store, better lighting. And that's what I mean. It's like everything's getting upgraded, right? And this is about reducing the amount of energy we use, which is reducing carbon. It's about making these stores better. It's about making a better, work environment, dining experience. That's sustainability. That's solving climate change. And that's what gets me very excited. I think that's super cool.
So let me borrow back a little bit for what you said earlier today. We were talking about AI and investment in AI, and then clean energy, and that clean energy is twice as what AI investment is. We're looking at it like now. So if I am Johnny on the spot, or I'm somebody who's looking at who should I invest in? Should I invest in this company or should I invest in this company? Would it be a safe? I don't want to. Again, I'm not an investor. I mean, from that standpoint, I don't know that area well enough. Does it make sense to find a company like these companies that are doing this and say, well, this is a pretty good gig? I mean, the ROI might be pretty high on two fronts. What would you say to that?
I mean, I would say what's interesting to me is thinking about the companies that are succeeding are not necessarily the companies that are inventing the new battery or inventing the new solar panel, but are the ones like we're talking about, like with certainly in this case of Butterfly, right? They are innovating the business model, right? So they're like, oh, look, we don't actually have to go invent a better commercial refrigerator. We'll just get really awesome terms from, I don't know, like whoever makes that thing, Johnson Controls, I don't know, whoever is making that type of equipment. So I think to the degree that you can identify companies that have really strong business models and really strong execution and teams, yeah, could those potentially be strong investments? Sure. I think that the trick is that one of the terms that gets thrown around in the renewable energy industry, the solar industry forever, is the solar coaster. And the solar coaster is sometimes you have a lot of support coming out of Washington and favorable policies. Sometimes you don't, which is right now. But it goes up and down, right? And so not only do you have to be really great at business execution, you have to be really great at business execution, recognizing that there's all these other variables around you that are completely out of your control, but could have a huge impact on how you run your company, right?
Correct.
So I think it's hard to just kind of make a blanket statement like, oh yeah, these are like awesome investments, because it just seems like the companies that win have just like exceptional management, really like the right strategy, and then these teams that can just really execute. Like out with like Butterfly, right? Their whole strategy, it just makes sense, is land and expand. Because if we help 6 Sonics, or a guy who owns 6 Sonics on Long Island, save a lot of money, you can bet that headquarters is going to hear about that. And now there's a lot of opportunity in Sonics elsewhere, right? But like, how do you identify that one company? I don't know. Sometimes I think that's hard. So I think there's great investment opportunities here, but figuring out where they are, that's the trick, or who they are.
That's the magic formula for sure. So as we bring it to a close a little, what if somebody is looking for you and they want to know what does Josh Dorfman do? Kind of like, I know he's out there. He founded a couple companies. Sounds like it. He's in all this other stuff. But if I was looking for a title for you, or a superpower, or whatever's your avatar, maybe it's a superhero, maybe it's I don't know, a business executive from the past, whatever it is, what would that look like on you?
You're saying if I were comparing myself to a superhero, who would
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
superhero
yeah.
or
I mean,
avatar be?
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
who would that be? Oh boy. Geez, that's how do you answer that question? I can tell you what I've come to realize, that what I think my superhero power is, and I think I think my really unique superhero power is storytelling, and storytelling in a business context, right?
Mm.
So that's what I think I've come, that the lane that I've come to carve out, which is what enables me to sometimes get a company off the ground, or say planted. Because if you're getting a company off the ground and you're trying to build like a high growth startup, you got to go raise money from investors. What are you doing? Well, you're storytelling, right? Like, when you're marketing these kinds of businesses, of course there's lots of analytics and the quantitative side, but really you're storytelling. And I've had radio shows and TV shows, and you're storytelling. And so I think, like, the way that I've moved through my career and have why I've been able to do a whole bunch of different things pretty effectively is because I'm good at that, and I've actually had some training in it. Um, when I finished my MBA in 2000, I made a really dumb decision to go work for a .com after the stock market had already crashed in like March of 2020, because I graduated in April and I went to go work for this .com in LA called Lineup. And then there was another dumb decision because Lineup thought that it was going to be the TV guide for the internet, and didn't like imagine YouTube and like, oh, you don't actually need a TV guide for the internet. And so, for a bunch of reasons, like 6 months into that job, I quit. And since I lived in LA, I decided I was going to be a screenwriter. Also not a really brilliant move, but I did spend like, like a lot of time writing screenplays. And writing screenplays is like an exceptional way to be trained on storytelling, because you have to be able to convey a lot in like the least amount of words possible on the page, and actually implant an image and a vision and something in someone's head. So yeah, I've actually done some really goofy training over time that I think has helped me hone that craft.
I think you're right. I think storytelling is your superpower. So if people are out here on the internet, or just randomly drive by in your businesses, how do they reach you other than just drive by and saying, "Hey, Josh, what's up?" How do they find you if they want to interact with your companies, or with you, or anywhere they want to find you other than like the obvious LinkedIn? Where else will people find you?
Planted is PLANTD, as you alluded to. We have our own goofy spelling. So plantedmaterials.com to follow what we're doing. Just follow us on the newsletter. Certainly we're in social. Super cool. Our hub for everything that we do is getsuper.cool. So certainly the podcast, you can sign up for we have 2 newsletters that we put out. One is chronicling and dissecting the companies that I've talked to you about. What's their playbook? How are they really gaining customers, winning market share? Like, how do they actually do that? And then the other is this other newsletter we call Deployed, which is what happened in the last week to launch at commercial scale to build this low carbon economy. What factory launched? What solar farm just came online?
Mm.
Just trying to really kind of chronicle and track how this is playing out. So those are the 2 places, the 2 websites to follow our work.
For sure, for sure. Well, I appreciate it, Josh. You got anything? Because you've been quiet, which is, see, here's the funny part. Because
No,
pre-part, Josh was gabbing about, I don't know if you noticed, but Josh is a big sports fan. Okay, I don't know if you know that. Josh used to write in sports, and for like one of those rags of paper years ago. I like to tease him, but he is the epitome of a sports fan and a walking encyclopedia of any sport. So he goes there. So it's kind of
Well,
surprised that both of you were talking about that, and Josh didn't like say, I'm going to sports right here, buddy.
No, I enjoyed the story so much. I just wanted to listen to it. So that's why I stay quiet.
This week, well, thank you. This week, see if Josh, if this resonates with you, because I was saying to my wife when we put our podcast out this morning, I'm like, there's only one person I know in climate who's actually even going to get the reference of this podcast title, because there's only like one other guy I know actually cares about sports who also cares about climate. So so we did a story. Well, I'll just the title of the podcast is "The House That Rice Built," and then
Yeah, I got it.
okay, good. And then it's like modern mill has breakthrough, sustainable materials, from rice hulls or whatever. I was like, no one's going to know that's about Babe Ruth, right? No one's going to know that that's like the reference, the house that rice built. But
Josh would instantly get that. That's a hint.
I did.
I'm not a sports fan.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
rice?
Yeah.
Rice
Yeah.
macaroni? I have no
He's
idea.
like, give me a hard one. Give me a hard one now. Yeah.
Try some obscure baseball stats that nobody really knows because it's so weird. That's Josh.
Totally.
No, but I enjoyed this. I enjoyed the story of both companies, and that's why I just kept quiet, because it was intriguing.
I found it intriguing, but I was really surprised because my goodness, does Josh jump on sports? Because I'll give you a really funny story, which is so tragic. So we went to see his alma mater play in Boston. And if you don't know, they have similar colors, though they disagree. For people like me who are not sports fans, they look like they're playing against the same team. So if you know Boston, then you know what team I'm talking about. So, and there's a Florida team which has similar. So while I'm there, because I know Josh is a big time Florida State fan, because that's his alma mater. Oh my goodness gracious, was I ragging on him just because I know how loyal he is to that team. So.
You're lucky I prepaid your flight.
Were they playing Boston College? Was that FSU Boston College? Yeah. I was at Boston College last week. Can I tell you guys one college football story before we go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
Okay. So I had a dream to play Division I football. I was an option quarterback in high school, and we were really good. Like, we finished number 2 in the state my junior year. We were small school, good team. So I had Division III offers, but I didn't really have any. I had no D1 offers. But I walked on at the University of Pennsylvania, so I went to Penn, played football, made the varsity my sophomore year. And my sophomore year, we were like absolutely terrible. And Josh, maybe you remember this, but the New York Times used to have a computer ranking of like every D1 football team. Like, they had it when I was growing up, like all 216 teams or whatever it was in Division I. And we lost to Columbia. Like, they broke their 5-year.
Oh my God, Columbia.
Yeah. Remember? So they broke their 5-year losing streak by beating us. This is my sophomore year. So we were like,
they're like 0-90 something.
Yeah. And then they beat us, and we were like 0-8. And like I said, so I went to a small high school, but we were awesome in high school. Like, we were like 19-1, combined my junior and senior year. Like, we were awesome. And I played offense and defense. It was great. But I called my dad when like that poll came out after we lost to Columbia, because we were dead last. We were the worst team. Penn was the last team in Division I. And I called my dad, and I was like, Dad, did you see the New York Times? He's like, yeah. I'm like, did you see the poll? He's like, yeah. I'm like, so I've been thinking, we're the worst team in America. He's like, I know. And I'm like, well, I'm the 3rd string wide receiver. I think like I'm the worst player on the worst team in America. I'm the worst player in Division I, Dad. And he was just like, son, there's nothing I can say, and so.
You get no support from your own father. There's nothing I can say, buddy.
There's nothing I can say.
There's nothing I can say.
So it reminds me of a story. Someone that Nick and I both know had a child who played basketball, and she asked me one day, what are the odds on my child making it to the NBA? And I literally said, very slim. And that was being kind. Because every year only 64 players make it to the league, of which probably, I don't know, 10% play. So, the odds on you making it. She had already had retirement plans and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to retire on he'll be a draft lottery player.
So you're not the best player. Okay, number one, your team didn't do well, and yeah, you're not going to retire into the Hamptons. You might be lucky to get whatever, but we'll leave it at that. Well, Josh, it's been Josh and Josh, which is still confusing me. It's been a pleasure to have you on our podcast, and I thank you for being so transparent, going through your evolution from back when you were the worst player on the worst team to now. Now you're a better player in a different environment and doing pretty
Excuse
good
the pun.
and actually making the first string. Okay, let's just say you're making the first string in your new life, but you learned from those from your dad said, "I got nothing for you." So thank you for bringing out of that challenge, who you are to be able to go from planted to super cool to all the different environments and all the stuff that you do out there in the business world. Thank you for being here on Skyman and the Bug.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate
You're
it.
very welcome. You've been listening to
The Skyman
and the Bug. We appreciate you being here. Join us again for another episode of Skyman and the Bug. And if you have any questions, reach out to us either on LinkedIn, Facebook, and other places that you just try to find us.
Take care.
Bye.